All right. Good evening. Hope everybody's had a good Saturday. I've been busy pressure washing. Um, we're going to get into the last five parts of the Fall of the Cabal series. Not had time to pre-record these lately, so we're just going to play them live as we go. Um, so let's get to part six.
The swimming pool in the artwork bought by the Podestas actually exists. It is the subterranean swimming pool at Biltmore Mansion in Asheville, North Carolina.
Excuse me. By the way, I do want to mention that if anybody wants to go and watch all of these, you can go over to rumble.com and look up Real AF Patriot. I'll provide the link in the description in a moment, but you can look up him. He's got a lot of other good stuff too, but he's got all 10 parts of the Fall of the Cabal, and then there's an actual sequel to it too. So, anyway, sorry to interrupt. Let's continue.
This was the home of multimillionaire Gloria Vanderbilt, who recently passed away at the age of 95. Here we have Gloria and her two sons, Anderson and Carter Cooper. Carter committed suicide when he was 23. Anderson is a well-known news reporter for CNN. Why does Gloria's swimming pool appear on paintings of tortured children? Is it a coincidence that the little boy so strongly reminds me of Anderson Cooper, Gloria's son? Could there be a connection between her swimming pool and the entertainment with young children for the elite, as mentioned in the infamous Podesta emails? Anderson Cooper, son of Gloria Vanderbilt, world-renowned and award-winning reporter for CNN. He was caught overdoing it from time to time, making things look much worse than they actually were. But hey, maybe he's just a bit of a drama queen. At least it led to some funny responses on social media. The question remains, is it okay for a media outlet to deliberately broadcast such exaggerations? Is that honest broadcasting? Is it okay to influence the public with headlines such as these? Is it okay for the Dutch news network NOS to show a twisted version of an interview by BBC's John Sweeney asking Putin about the killings in the Ukraine, where the NOS edited the original interview so that Putin seems to walk away, ignoring Sweeney? Yet the original interview, which can also be found on the internet, shows Putin taking his time answering the question. Is it okay for several American news outlets to accuse Trump of raping a 13-year-old girl together with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted pedophile? Is it okay that there's a deafening silence from the mainstream media now that the flight records show that it wasn't Trump, but Bill Clinton who joined Epstein at his parties with underage girls on Orgy Island? Is it okay that Trump's words about MS-13 gang members being animals were totally twisted, obviously on purpose, so that he seems to refer to immigrants being animals? Do you remember the little boy from Syria, sleeping between the graves of his parents? That too was staged and broadcast on purpose, as to manipulate the people into yet another war. The boy was paid to lie there. I don't know about you guys, but this is not okay. It's not okay to fake white helmets saving a wounded man right after a bombing, only to have a selfie taken. That's deceit. It's not okay to lie to the public about Syria and the alleged chemical attacks, so that yet another war can be justified. For months, we were lied to by the mainstream media. Remember this poor little girl? You probably will, for she was used 3 times for 3 different rescue missions in 3 different months in 2016. I find that shocking. It is not okay to fake attacks on women and children to trigger an emotional response that justifies the invasion of yet another foreign country. I find it horrifying to see the well-designed deceit of Western people who watch and trust the news. Do you remember this one? I could go on for hours with examples of fake news, but I think this is enough. For now at least. I'll give you two more to digest. In 2015, during a presidential rally, Trump imitated reporter Serge Kovaleski, whom he had caught lying. It concerned an article from 2001, in which Kovaleski wrote about people cheering the fall of the Twin Towers. When Trump quoted the article in 2015, Kovaleski backed out, saying he didn't remember writing the article. Well, the article could easily be found on the internet, and Trump called out Kovaleski for his lie. But the mainstream media seized the opportunity and used these headlines: Trump mocks the disabled. Kovaleski suffers from arthrogryposis, but that does not cause the weird movements Trump made. On other occasions, and in exactly the same way, Trump had imitated Senator Jim Mattis, presidential candidate Marco Rubio, a general, and a bank manager who all got away with lies. However, as Mattis, Rubio, the general, and the bank manager were not handicapped, they were of no use to the mainstream media. Kovaleski's handicap, however, went around the world, convincing everybody that Trump looked down on the disabled. And I must confess, I too fell for it. Then, last but not least, for 2 years, the mainstream media kept pushing the liberal agenda on Trump and the alleged Russian collusion, whereas on March 23, 2019, the Mueller investigation officially ended and nothing was found. After 2 years of doing everything they could to take Trump down, they found absolutely nothing. Trump was cleared, yet the mainstream media kept repeating, something has to be wrong with this president. Trump's official innocence is completely hushed up, just like they didn't say a word about the countless pedophiles that were arrested under Trump. Total radio silence. From the beginning, Trump has been warning us about the mainstream media as the number one enemy of the people. And the more I study the subject, the more I understand that Trump is actually correct. The mainstream media uses its power to steer the public into a desired direction. The spreading of disinformation is nothing new. Back in the early 1950s, the CIA set up Operation Mockingbird, a large-scale program in the US with the sole purpose of manipulating news media for propaganda purposes. Leading American journalists were recruited into a propaganda network. In other words, the Secret Service determined what was going to be on TV and in the news. Has anything changed? No, apparently not. German whistleblower Udo Ulfkotte, high-profile journalist for the Frankfurter Allgemeine, stated in front of the camera that he felt deeply ashamed to have consistently lied to the public for over 25 years.
Vicks for swollen prostate? Sounds insane, but it worked insanely well. After months of
Sorry for
struggling
the commercial.
Ulfgotter died of a heart attack shortly after, in January 2017. The illusion of choice. We think, there are so many channels, how could they all be in on it? Well, that's easy. This shows you who owns whom. Do you see it? There are only 4 companies. CBS seems to be independent, but is owned by the same billionaire as Viacom. When you give people the illusion of choice, they believe they are free. And if you want to find out why the mainstream media push the liberal agenda down our throats, all you have to do is follow the money. Who paid major contributions to Hillary Clinton to support her work and the liberal agenda? That's right. CNN, NBC, News Corporation, Turner Broadcasting, Thomson Reuters, Newsmax Media, Time Warner, Viacom, Comcast, HBO, AOL, Hollywood Foreign Press Association, Public Radio International, Public Broadcasting Service, Huffington Post Media Group, Carlos Slim, the largest shareholder of the New York Times, James Murdoch of 21st Century Fox, Judy Woodruff, co-anchor and managing editor of PBS NewsHour, Howard Stringer, former president of CBS, George Stephanopoulos, ABC News chief anchor and chief political correspondent, Mort Zuckerman, owner of New York Daily News and US News and World Report, and The Washington Post, owned by Jeff Bezos of Amazon, well known for its censorship of quite a few books on controversial topics. Censorship is one of the greatest dangers to a democracy and to freedom of speech. 3 more major sponsors of Hillary Clinton are Google, Twitter, and Facebook. Google and its YouTube are highly active in the field of censorship, just like Twitter and Facebook. It will come as no surprise that pro-Trump posts are among the most censored ones, as are posts of critical thinkers and researchers and anyone who dares question the official narrative of events such as the ones I presented in part 1. Pro-Hillary posts are never censored. Doesn't that make you wonder? Remember Correct the Record and Media Matters for America? Those are the kind of censorship companies that work behind the scenes of Facebook, Twitter, Google, and YouTube to delete anything that opposes the liberal agenda. And guess what? Correct the Record is now promoted by AFAS, the global activist network that I once thought so highly of. AFAS was co-founded by Res Publica and Move On. Res Publica received $250,000 from George Soros. Move On got $1.6 million from Soros. AFAS's founding president and executive director, Ricken Patel, has consulted for the Rockefeller Foundation, the UN, the Gates Foundation, and the International Crisis Group, with Soros as chairman and Frank Giustra as CEO. Remember our friend with the pedophile logo from part 4? AFAS's co-founder is Tom Perriello, former Virginia congressman, best buddies with Obama, and executive director of the Open Society Foundations of George Soros, one of the main parties behind the notorious and destabilizing migrant caravan invasion. It will come as no great surprise that AFAS strongly opposes President Trump. This is what we call controlled opposition. Like I said, censorship is dangerous. The so-called fact-checkers are dangerous. Snopes is one of them, set up by a couple from San Fernando Valley, David and Barbara Mickelson. The couple fell out. Barbara accused David of spending 98 grand on prostitutes, which is probably true, as he divorced Barbara and married call girl and porn star Elisa Young, aka Erin Bryn, who is now Snopes' administrator. Snopes' only fact-checker is Kim LaCapria, also known as sex and fetish blogger Vice Vixen. That, my friends, is fact-checker Snopes. There are no researchers, no investigators, no lawyers, no documents to support their findings, and they are strongly politically biased. Yet they are generally accepted as fact-checker. I find that most shocking. Do you get the picture? Operation Mockingbird never ended. John Podesta, one of the key suspects in the Pizzagate scandal, got his own column in the Washington Post, writing about politics and policies. How the hell is he supposed to give an objective view of Trump, his worst enemy? John Brennan, head of the CIA till 2017, now serves as senior analyst for NBC News and MSNBC. Anderson Cooper worked for the CIA before he became a news anchor. According to himself, it was only an internship when he was 19, but I wonder how many young men are approached by the CIA for an internship. Anderson did not even have the proper education to be offered a job, yet in no time he became the face of CNN. The Secret Services still decide what the people are supposed to think and believe. If they want to invade yet another country, they will use the mainstream media to make you believe that that particular country needs to be freed of a terrible dictator who kills his own people. The real reason for the invasion will quite likely never be known to the public. It'll probably have to do with oil or the installment of yet another Rothschild bank. But hey, who cares? It was in the news that they freed those poor people from their dictator and that democracy was bestowed upon them. And if it's in the news, it's true. End of story. Well, no, it's not. If the media coverage is controlled by secret services, it seems only logical to me to focus on the things they refuse to cover or ridicule. Number one topic that comes to mind, Pizzagate. Debunked by the mainstream media like nothing else. Let's continue with a bit of additional research in part 7.
Okay, so that was part 6. Bear with me one second here. And we'll do 7. But before we get into 7, Anderson Cooper, employed by the CIA at one time. There's a lot of those people, I think, that was in mainstream media that are retired government officials that were put there to push the narrative on us. So you had that, and then, you know, what they were talking about in there with how we go into another country and pretty much set up a puppet government system. I don't know if you guys have looked into Operation Gladio, but, you know, that's kind of what that is, you know, that's a good way to control war, to make war, you know, when you need a war. So they go in, they take out the legitimate government system that's in place and put in a puppet government system. And then from there, they can control and create wars and conflicts whenever they need for distraction and other purposes, or to fund the military industrial complex. So anyway, let's get into part 7 here, Follow the Cabal. I think this one's got a lot with the spirit cooking in it, if I'm not mistaken.
The sea is like a shooting range. Roger. Just with larger calibers and
if you don't want to die from neuropathy, don't make the same mistake 90% of people with burning.
To Hitler.
Oh, my
Von
bad.
Amsberg, Willem Alexander.
Got to rewind it from a previous watch. Be kind and rewind. There we go. But yeah, I think this has a lot to do with spirit cooking, witches and warlocks. So let's get into this one.
This is Marina Abramovich, a Serbian performance artist who likes to display the limits of the body and the possibilities of the mind. She pioneered a new notion of identity by focusing on confronting pain, blood, and physical limits of the body. Let's have a look at her work. In 1996, Abramovich introduced Spirit Cooking, a cookbook with essential aphrodisiac recipes, some of which call for the mixture of fresh breast milk and sperm milk. When WikiLeaks posted this, it definitely had my attention. Spirit Cooking later took on the form of dinner party entertainment for her donors and friends. The link to cannibalism is obvious. Abramovich furthermore made her appearance in the leaked Podesta emails. Why am I not surprised? I discovered this photo of Abramovich and John of God. Exactly, the very same Brazilian healer who was recently arrested and charged with multiple accounts of abduction, abuse, rape, child trafficking, and murder. The very same personal healer of Bill Clinton. This picture is particularly interesting for the Dutch viewers. Before Willem-Alexander became King of the Netherlands, his mother Beatrix was on the throne. She frequented Abramovich's performances. On this particular occasion, she wore a brooch that seems to be a pizza slice. Now this may be far-fetched, but let's see. Meet Maxima Zorreguieta, born in Argentina and now married to our king Willem-Alexander van Oranje-Nassau, and daughter of the late Jorge Zorreguieta, who served as cabinet minister during the so-called Dirty War of dictator Jorge Videla. Maxima had 4 sisters and 2 brothers. One of her sisters is Dolores, an artist who came to the Netherlands in 2005 to exhibit her work. The exhibition was called Love Romance. Have a look for yourself. Is it just me, or is this insane? To me, this looks like an outcry for help from a severely traumatized woman. In June 2018, Maxima's younger sister, Inez, was found dead in her apartment, hung with a scarf from a doorknob. Doorknobs have proven to be lethal for quite a few people lately. In other words, not suicide, but murder. Was Inez Zorreguieta about to spill the beans on the Cabal? Is that why she was silenced? Could this be true? Let's have a look at some other doorknob victims. Number 1, Lorraine Scott, fashion designer and former girlfriend of Nathan Rothschild, one of the world's most wealthy families. According to a longtime lover, Mick Jagger, Lorraine was not suicidal. Number 2, Chris Cornell, lead singer of the rock band Soundgarden and Audioslave. According to his family, he suffered from depression due to being sexually abused as a child. He and his wife founded the Chris and Vicky Cornell Foundation to support children suffering the consequences of abuse and neglect. He and his best friend, Chester Bennington, were working on exposing an elite pedophile ring. Cornell was also the main financial backer for the documentary The Silent Children about child sex trafficking. After he died, the project was cancelled. According to his family, Cornell was not suicidal at the time of his death. Interesting detail contradicting the suicide theory was the blood on his head and on the ground. Was Cornell killed by a stroke on the head and strangulation by means of his exercise belt? Number 3. Chester Bennington, best friend of Chris Cornell and lead singer of Linkin Park. He died 2 months after Cornell. Bennington also suffered from depression due to being sexually abused as a child by a friend of the family. According to some sources, that friend was John Podesta, key player in Pizzagate. And when you look at the striking resemblance, Podesta could well be Chester's biological father. When Chester was 9 years old, his father abandoned the family after finding out the boy was not his son. Was Podesta both the pedophile family friend and the biological father of Chester Bennington? Is it a coincidence that the logo of his band looks like a broken version of the young boy lover symbol? Number 4. Tim Bergling, aka Avicii, world-famous Swedish DJ, musician and record producer. According to the first news about his apparent suicide, Bergling was said to have hung himself from a doorknob. Later on, the narrative was changed into a self-inflicted cut with a broken wine bottle that led to heavy and lethal bleeding. It took almost 2 weeks for this official narrative to be published. Bergling's 2015 video clip For a Better Day clearly and shockingly shows child sex trafficking. At the end of the video clip, Bergling turns out to play the part of the abused boy, now grown up and ready to take revenge on his abusers. Did he actually experience these horrors in his childhood? Was he murdered for bringing this out into the open? Bergling's family believes he did commit suicide, yet his girlfriend expressed her disbelief. Number 5. Annabelle Nielsen, ex-wife of Nathan Rothschild, who also lost Lorenz Scott through hanging, remember? According to her family, she died of a stroke, but according to friends, she was found hanging by a scarf from a doorknob. Number 6. Aaron Swartz, computer programmer and activist for internet freedom, for which he founded Demand Progress and Reddit. He died after hacking into MIT and JSTOR. Swartz was arrested and charged with computer fraud. However, 1 week after his alleged suicide, it became apparent that Swartz had leaked the hacked documents to WikiLeaks. One can only speculate as to the contents. Number 7. Kate Spade, American fashion designer. Spade led delegations.
There's one simple hearing hack anyone can use to improve their hearing almost overnight. If you've been suffering with hearing
to Haiti for the No Ceilings initiative of the Clinton Foundation, aimed at the global support of women and girls. Haiti is one of the main places on earth for child trafficking, and we've already seen the involvement of the Clintons in part 4. What did Kate Spade know that led to her death? Why did her husband Andy appear in public 2 days after her death wearing a rat mask? Was Kate about to rat to betray the Clintons? Was Andy Spade forced to wear the mask as a warning to others who just might rat? Number 8. Anthony Bourdain, celebrity chef, TV presenter, and author. Bourdain openly criticized Hillary Clinton on multiple occasions. He spoke out strongly against globalization, and deeply hoped Henry Kissinger would be called out for the war crimes he committed. Bourdain had been to Pedophile Island, Haiti, to shoot an episode for his TV program, No Reservations. A month before his death, he posted a tweet about the wrath of Hillary Clinton he had experienced. Followed by this one, even more outcalling. And then Bourdain died a sudden and unexpected death. So, what are we dealing with here? The world has obviously gone mad. We've already seen the normalization of pedophilia. Now the elite takes it a level higher, worshipping the devil and normalizing cannibalism. You don't believe me? Watch this. Is this really the sign of the devil? Oh yes. Meet Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan, giving the exact same sign. The same Church of Satan Chelsea Clinton is so fond of. The upside-down pentagram containing the horned one, plus the upside-down cross, it's all there. So, we have Satan, we have blood, we have body parts, we have cannibalism. Statues of Moloch, an expression of the devil, are now watching over several American cities. And only recently a new one was placed in Rome. Let's go back to the Dutch royal family and see how far this insanity goes. You've already met King Willem-Alexander and his beautiful Argentinian wife Maxima. They both have very interesting fathers. Maxima's father, Jorge Zorrigueta, was Minister of Agriculture in the regime of General Jorge Videla, a military dictator who ruled Argentina from 1976 till 1981, and who was responsible for the kidnapping, torture, and murder of an estimated 30,000 people. As part of the Videla government, Zorrigueta must have known about the atrocities, but he claimed not to have been aware of the so-called Dirty War. In 2006, Zorrigueta was discredited once again during a lawsuit against the top of the Banca Repubblica for money laundering the profits of drugs and weapons trade. Zorrigueta was on the board of directors between 86 and 96, the time of major deals between the bank and drug cartels. But once again, he came out clean due to bribery and corruption. His daughter Maxima didn't meet Willem-Alexander until 1999 in Spain. At least that is the official narrative, which is weird as the Dutch royal family had known the Zorriguetas for generations. Why did they lie about that? Prince Bernhard, Willem-Alexander's grandfather, frequented Argentina and the Zorriguetas even before World War II. Both families had a holiday mansion in Bariloche, a ski area with mostly German visitors and inhabitants. As a matter of fact, Bariloche was a Nazi den where many SSers and Nazi scientists went during Operation Paperclip. I was taught in school that the Nazi leaders were all convicted in the Nuremberg trials, that justice was served. But did you know that only 10 Nazis were hanged and only 7 went to jail? That's it. The big Nuremberg trials, only 17 of them? Did you actually think, like I did, they all got what they deserved? Well, think again. They had way too much knowledge. Most of them were welcomed with open arms. NATO, NASA, they all loved them. Many SSers, scientists and engineers did not go to the US but to South America instead, especially after their retirement. Argentina was very popular among them, especially the inhabitable Patagonia, where they were safe from post-war Nazi hunters. Bariloche was such a place. Big Nazi names such as Erich Priebke, responsible for and actively participating in the killing of 335 Italian men and boys in 1944. Reinhard Kops, SS officer who helped many Nazis escape to Argentina after the war. Josef Mengele, the angel of death from death camp Auschwitz, where he performed horrific experiments on children. And Adolf Eichmann, one of the major organizers of the Holocaust, all lived in Bariloche, later the favorite ski location of the Dutch royal family and the Zorriguetas. Both King Willem-Alexander's father and his grandfather were German. Both were part of the Nazi movement. Klaus von Amsberg, Willem-Alexander's father, was a member of the Hitler Youth. His parents were active participants in Hitler's NSDAP. When journalist Wim Klinkenberg wrote an article about Prince Klaus's Nazi past in Panorama magazine of December 1965, Dutch Prime Minister...
Have you heard about this new tactical mosquito zapper? It was developed by the US Army to kill all mosquitoes in a 100...
Kals personally interfered. He was stiffed about the contents of the article, in which clear evidence was presented that completely contradicted the official story about our prince's past. Kals ordered all 420,000 magazines that had only just been printed to be destroyed. Incriminating evidence, documents, letters, etc., against the Dutch royal family were stolen from journalist Klinkenberg's home. The people of the Netherlands were not to find out about the dark side of the royal family. King Willem-Alexander's grandfather, Bernhard von Lippe-Biesterfeld, was member of Hitler's NSDAP, the SA, and the SS, where he served Himmler's elite cavalry, the Equestrian SS. During the Nuremberg trials, the Equestrian SS was the only division that was not prosecuted, so that Bernhard von Lippe-Biesterfeld, by that time married to the Dutch Queen Juliana van Oranje-Nassau, would remain safe from prosecution and from scrutiny. Do you realize how much power the Dutch royal family must have had to accomplish this? I wonder how many Dutch people know about this. I was taught in school that Bernhard was a war hero, that he served the British Secret Service, that he even wanted all 200 Dutch SSers executed at the end of the war. So many lies. At his wedding with Queen Juliana, the orchestra was asked to play the Nazi song of the NSDAP. The director of the orchestra, Peter van Anrooy, refused, as did some of the musicians. But Bernhard made it happen. The song was played, many guests offered the Nazi salute, and the musicians who had been willing to play the song were later rewarded with a medal. During the war, Royal Shell gave millions of tons of crude oil to Hitler for free, a deal set up by Prince Bernhard. The crude oil was used for the Nazi tanks to invade and conquer the Netherlands. The people of the Netherlands were handed over to the Nazis by their royal family. Most Dutch people are completely unaware of this, even though these facts are quite easy to find when you start searching for the truth. We've just never been told. Bernhard was corrupt to the core. He accepted a major bribe, $1.1 million, from Lockheed in 1976. He was scrutinized for being president of the Worldwide Fund for Nature and the Prince Bernhard Nature Fund while being a passionate hunter and killer. More about Bernhard's hunting parties in a bit. Bernhard was a notorious womanizer. The maids of the royal palaces were terrified of him and knew very well they had to keep their doors locked at night. He had several illegitimate children, two of whom he officially acknowledged, Alexia and Alicia. Juicy little detail is that Alicia's mother was the daughter of Nazi test pilot Hannah Reich and Werner von Braun. That's right, the Nazi rocket scientist who was welcomed by the US in 1945 during Operation Paperclip to continue his work for NASA. Werner von Braun and Bernhard both had served in Himmler's cavalry, the Equestrian SS. They went way back. In 1952, Bernhard visited his old buddy Werner and took advantage of his daughter and left her pregnant. After that, he was no longer on speaking terms with the mother of his illegitimate child, as he put it himself. Bernhard was a much more powerful assessor than most people realize. Before, during, and after World War II, he cherished and maintained his contact and friendships with other SS officers, both in Argentina, where he went on so-called trade missions for the Netherlands, and in Germany, which has always been denied by the royal family and the Dutch Central Intelligence Agency. Bernhard also founded the Bilderberg Group, where political and industrial leaders gather once a year to discuss, well, nobody really knows, as it's highly secretive. You can only become part of this exclusive group upon invitation. When Prime Minister Luns tried to enter the conference in 1977, he was literally thrown out. There's one thing all researchers agree on. The Bilderberg Group is definitely Cabal. There's one more thing Bernhard was known for, and this is where it gets really dirty. It's the main reason why I put so much emphasis on our royal family. And this is something everybody needs to know. Come quickly to part 8.
Okay, that was 7. There was a lot in that was really interesting. Like the whole thing with Chester Bennington and Podesta, the connections there. I mean, like if you know anything about Pizzagate, you know Podesta has connections to Pizzagate. Well, actually, I think that was in the first couple episodes that we had watched. It was talking about that. But Podesta possibly being Chester Bennington's biological father, that was pretty wild. One of the other things in 1 second before I get into that, when I first started watching this series, a lot of this stuff I had no clue about. So it just kind of blew my mind. My brother and I both had watched this, and like it just going down the rabbit hole. It was crazy. The spirit cooking, that's like some really sick shit. But one of the things I wanted to say, you know, they talk about in this episode, they had talked about the horns, you know, like I was always under the impression, like everything I've read, is that Ronnie James Dio was the one that came up with this, and his grandmother used to do it. Like he would put it out, like kind of like that over the crowd. And he said his grandmother used to do it because it would ward off evil spirits. So I don't know, maybe there's other symbolism behind that too, that, it's me. I do it because heavy metal, rock and roll. I'm a metalhead, and Ronnie James Dio, and, ward off evil spirits. So that's kind of like my take on that. But the other thing that we had seen in this episode that I really thought was interesting, especially given some recent news that's came out, they were talking about the Nazis and, fleeing and going to Argentina. Then what did we find out here recently? We found out that Javier Milei over in Argentina was declassifying CIA, or declassifying documents. Look, you can see it right here. New York Post talking about it. And the possibility, at that time, it was the possibility that Hitler lived. But then it came out, I think, that Hitler lived out the rest of his days in Argentina. And the CIA knew about it. I mean, like they said in this thing here with Operation Paperclip, we brought a bunch of Nazi scientists over here after World War II. So let's get into part 8 here. We'll get back to it. Again, the commercials in this, I didn't have time to pre-record to eliminate commercials, so we're just kind of doing this on the fly. And I want to mention one more time, this guy here, Real AF Patriot, you can go over to his Rumble channel and you can find all of these videos plus more. He makes a lot of good videos and puts them out. So give him a follow over on Rumble, give him some thumbs up on his videos. He does a great job putting this stuff out. And again, he's also got a Follow the Cabal sequel series. I think it's like 28 parts, something like that. And it's really good too. But anyway, let's get back into it here.
The more I studied the hidden side of the European royal families, the further I fell down the rabbit hole, until I stumbled upon something extremely dark. I will spare you the gruesome details. They are too horrific, too sickening. I urge you to do your own research. Google the names you're about to hear, read and listen for yourself, and make up your own mind. This is where Pizzagate returns to the story. Pizzagate is not just an American problem, it's a global problem. Let's get down to the real definition of Pizzagate. Worldwide, children are stolen and sold to elite pedophile rings. They are tortured, raped, and murdered as part of satanic ritual ceremonies. The murderers then drink the children's blood and they eat their flesh. The blood of children who were severely traumatized before they died contains adrenochrome, a natural drug produced by the pineal gland in the brain. Adrenochrome is the highest valued drug in the world. The god these people serve is Satan. It's not a god of love and mercy. Whether or not you believe in the existence of Satan is not relevant. They do. And according to each and every eyewitness who has the guts to step forward, Pizzagate is real. Remember Mel Gibson's statements? He was ousted for not wanting to participate. He witnessed it though, and he is one of the very few who dares to speak about it. Personally, I think it's a miracle that he's still alive. Adrenochrome is real. It is the ultimate drug. This is what you look like when you take it, and this is when you no longer have access to it, thanks to President Trump. There was not as much time between these photos as you may think. Not many children survive the satanic ritual ceremonies. The very few ones that do were not meant to be killed. They were there to sexually serve the elite, royalty, sheikhs, top politicians, bankers, judges, church leaders, worldwide. Most survivors were born into satanic cult families. When you study all of the survivors' accounts, you will see they have a lot in common. The same description of the atrocity inflicted upon them, the same names of perpetrators, and the same elite they belong to. The problem, however, is that these survivors are not believed by most people. It's easier to assume that they're insane or attention seekers than to face the horrible truth. Furthermore, not many survivors dare to step forward. They are simply too traumatized. I spent countless hours listening to their horrifying accounts. I read police reports, and I am convinced these people are not crazy. They are not attention seekers nor liars. Their stories are consistent. Please do your own research and find out about the following victims and/or eyewitnesses. The Dutch Annemarie van Blijenburg, Toos Nijenhuis, Anneke Lucas, and Ronald Bernard. The Irishman Richard Kerr, brother and sister Gabriel and Eliza Dearman from the UK, the American Sarah Ruth Ashcraft, and the Australian Fiona Barnett. Whenever a child sex offender was arrested in the Netherlands and its neighbouring Belgium, think Mark Dutroux, Roberts Mickelsons, they all swore they were supplying children for a large elite network. They were not believed. They were presented to the public as lone wolves, operating on their own. Most viewers will now once again experience some more cognitive dissonance. But hey, remember when the first reports emerged about the sexual abuse of boys and girls by Catholic priests and nuns? At first, nobody believed it. People were too shocked to handle it. But now, so many years later, it is common knowledge to most people. The church paid millions of dollars to its victims in an effort to silence them. We now have the evidence. We have numbers, statistics. People have grown used to the idea that priests, bishops, and cardinals rape children on an enormous scale. And if you think the popes washed their hands in innocence, you're in for a big shock. Now I realize that satanic cult offerings of babies and children is a step further than sexual abuse, but I can assure you that more and more victims will soon speak up. And step by step, people can work their way through their cognitive dissonance so that soon we'll be able to save these children. Where do these children come from? How come they can simply disappear without a trace, without worried parents who report them missing? They come from orphanages, children's homes, youth detention centers. Some are homeless. Many are refugees fleeing wars. These children are stolen, sold. We're talking the fastest growing trade here. According to the survivors, not only the Dutch but also the British royal family are heavily involved in all of this. Back in the 1980s, a major controversy arose when it became clear that Prince Charles was a very close friend of Jimmy Savile, a notorious pedophile. Not only Charles, the entire royal family loved Savile, as did Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. Savile was named by many victims and was said to have been extremely violent and cruel. He was never prosecuted and died a free man. Then there's the interesting close friendship between Prince Andrew and convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein held several young women as sex slaves, hiring them to his elite friends such as Prince Andrew. The royal family has always denied the allegations. And there's more. In 2015, a video emerged, shot by a Swedish tourist at Buckingham Palace. It shows a naked boy climbing out of a window of the palace using a bedsheet. The boy cannot hold on and falls to the ground. The mainstream media tried their utmost best to debunk the video. Buckingham Palace declined to comment on the video, and the Metropolitan Police said they had no reports of the incident. Now, I don't know what it is with the royal family, but something's definitely weird. Have a look at Prince William's wife Kate, right after giving birth in 2018. Why on earth would she pick a dress that is identical to the one in the horror movie Rosemary's Baby, where Rosemary gives birth to Satan's child? What kind of an insane coincidence is that? According to the satanic ritual abuse survivors, the popes too were and are heavily involved. Pope Francis, Pope Benedict. Like I said, they do not wash their hands in innocence. On the contrary. Both Pope Francis and the Dutch Prince Bernhard loved hunting parties, according to the survivors. Once again, I will do you the great favor of sparing you the disgusting details, but it boils down to this.
Before we go any further, this gets a little bit graphic, maybe. Well, not graphic, but some of the detail that she goes into in this is not really for younger viewers. So watch the rest of this at your, own discretion. Just wanted to throw that out there. I think this is the episode that does it, but anyway, let's continue.
The hunting parties took place in secret in forests, most of which belonged to royal estates in several European countries. The participants, all part of the before-mentioned elite satanic pedophile cult, would hunt down children, rape them, murder them, and cut off their genitals as a trophy. In February 2013, former Pope Benedict Joseph Ratzinger was prosecuted and sentenced by default for crimes against humanity by the International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State. Ratzinger's crimes included child trafficking and protecting priests who had raped children. Is this why he stepped down, even though being a pope is a nomination for life? Interesting little detail is that lightning struck St. Peter's twice, only moments after his resignation. The same verdict followed for Pope Francis. One accusation was added: complicity in murder in Argentina. Others who were also prosecuted and sentenced for crimes against humanity were the British Queen Elizabeth Windsor and her husband Prince Philip, former Canadian Prime Minister Harper, and 27 other dignitaries. Whether or not this will lead to arrests, time will tell. For now, both the Pope and the royal family enjoy immunity. The International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State extensively investigated the case of the rape, torture, and murder of 50,000 Native children in Canada. The United Church of Canada, the Anglican Church, and the British royal family played a major role in this case, as did the Dutch royal family, who fled to Canada to be safe from World War II. As far back as 1942, an investigative journalist of the Canada Gazette thoroughly studied the case and came to the shocking conclusion that 50,000 Native children had disappeared from 80 Canadian Indian residential schools, and that 31 mass grave sites have been found inside the school grounds containing the remains of children. Now, as shocking as this may be, it is nothing new. On a regular basis, mass baby and children's graves are discovered, often near nunneries. In some cases, we don't know exactly what happened. In other cases, we do know, due to forensic evidence and the eyewitness accounts of survivors. Mel Gibson was right when he said that satanic cults with child sacrifices are nothing new. It goes way back into history. For thousands of years, children have been murdered to please Satan, Lucifer, Baal, Moloch, or whatever you want to call him. I have found many paintings of child sacrifice in Catholic churches during my own research. It's part of human history, but that doesn't mean it's okay. We all know about the Aztecs and the human sacrifices, and we can deal with that, for it's old. But until recently, I was not aware of any of this. I'd never heard about Pizzagate and satanic Luciferian cults with child sacrifice. I thought it belonged to the past, to the Dark Ages. Well, I guess we're still living in the Dark Ages. All of the satanic cults are connected, worldwide. People at the highest level are only at the highest level because they participate. And once you're in for life, through blackmail with pictures and video footage taken in secret. And some don't even need blackmail. They simply thrive on the pain and suffering of others. Some names have been named. Others will follow soon. The people will be shocked to the core when this comes out. Let me give you one piece of advice. When the video of Hillary Clinton and her right hand, Huma Abedin, raping, torturing, mutilating, and killing a little girl comes out in the open, do not watch it. You will not sleep again. There are certain things I will not share with you here, simply because they are too horrific. Like this shower torture of a child by John Podesta. Search and find it for yourself if you like. I wish to wake people up, not traumatize them. The same goes for the red shoes. You want to know what they're made of? Do your own research. I'll give you a small hint. The tradition of red shoes for the elite goes all the way back to the Byzantine tradition when kings would wear them as symbols of bloody martyrdom. The video, by the way, was found on the confiscated laptop of Anthony Weiner, the ex-husband of Huma Abedin. It was stored together with thousands of other files in a folder called Life Insurance. Talk about blackmail. Weiner, by the way, was sentenced to serve 21 months in prison for sending sexual texts to a minor back in 2017. Oh, and the good news is, Weiner's laptop has officially been accepted in court as evidence. I can assure you we'll be hearing a lot more about its contents very soon. Now, what happens when you try to make any of this public? Either your TV career ends right there and then, or you get a heart attack, or your plane crashes, or you end up dead in a hotel room. Or you are found with a bullet in your back, or you commit suicide. And guess what? I haven't even shown you the real top of the pyramid of power yet, just the visible top. Did you think the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, George Soros, the government leaders, even the royal families, did you think they are the top of the 1%? They are not. There is a very dark order above them all, making puppets of everybody else, even of kings and queens. Ever heard of the Jesuit order? Did you know that there are 3 popes instead of 1? Ever heard of Agenda 21? Of its sequel, the depopulation program? This is so big, it does not fit in this first documentary. It will form a film of its own, which I promise to present in a very near future. What I wish to give you now is hope. After all of this misery, it's time for some light. And the good news is, there is plenty of that. Come with me, finally, to the good news in parts 9 and 10.
Okay. That had quite a bit in it too. That was quite a bit interesting. But I told you that whole thing with the hunt. It kind of reminded me of the movie Surviving the Game. I think's the movie with Ice. Is it Ice-T or Ice Cube that's in that? And they take him out on a hunting expedition and let him, go out, and then they end up hunting him. But like that shit right there was absolutely batshit crazy. There was that, and then they were talking about Anthony Weiner there, and Huma Abedin and Hillary, and the video she's referring to. I think it's called Frazzle Drip. I've never yet came across the video. I've seen screenshots that I don't know if they're real or not from the video. There's a actual video on Rumble that has like some sound and stuff like that to it, but it's really hard to tell what's what in it. I don't know if it's real, but the video she's talking about, like, I wouldn't want to watch it. Apparently there were the police officers that uncovered this. From what I gather, a lot of them have died. I don't know, like the Epstein kind of things. What I was thinking with that there is like, did they actually die or were they suicided? But anyway, she was talking about Anthony Weiner, and let's take a peek at this right here. Disgraced ex-lawmaker Anthony Weiner officially files to run for New York City Council years after sexting scandal. So that's what he got busted for, was sexting with a minor. And then, they uncovered the laptop. But this motherfucker, sorry, excuse my language. This guy is running for city council in New York after he had got out. Like, that's just insanity. But anyway, that was part 8. We've got part 9 and part 10, but we probably won't get to those tonight. I think I may save those because I'm going on vacation next week, and I may do another pre-recorded show, Parabellum and I, for Friday night. May not have a Saturday night show, but Friday night we may play those last two episodes of this, follow the Cabal series, and do a little talking around it, and that could probably wrap up the Friday night show. One thing I did want to put out there is we've got this guy. It's our kind of little mascot guy, kind of AI generated on the fly. Anybody got a name for this guy? Like, give us some suggestions of, what should we call this guy? Again, it was something I done on the fly. I kind of like it. It's really cool looking. So you make any suggestions, shoot them to me in the comments, or, if you have me on one of my social media accounts, shoot them, DM me and give us some suggested names for this guy. But anyway, we're not going to finish those 2 episodes. So I think I'm going to end this here and Good night. God bless. And where we go one, we go all.